Welcome to Healing Highs with Lara, where we talk about the highs and serendipitous moments of our healing journey. I'm Lara, and I am thrilled to introduce my guest today. She is a sacred plant medicine facilitator and integration coach. She and I are 2/3 of the hostesses of Journey to Self Retreat. Please welcome Brandy Gibson.
Hello.
Thank you for being here with us today.
Yes,
I'm so excited.
Super excited too.
So, can you explain for us what you do as a plant medicine facilitator and an integration coach?
Yeah, so basically I guide folks through medicine ceremonies using psilocybin, also known as magic mushrooms, and I also help them integrate their experiences. I always say like the integration portion of the experience is the most important portion of it, because that really takes everything that you learned during your ceremony and bringing it into your day-to-day life. So without that, it's kind of like a wasted ceremony. So yeah, that's basically what I do.
I love it. And we've had a lot of times that we've been together in those moments, and integration is the most special time to hear each other's experience, our guests' experience. It is so beautiful how we can take what they went through and how they can apply it to their life and the observations that they have, and then like how you shed light for them on like ways they can put that into their day-to-day life.
Yes.
So I feel like how sacred plant medicine introduces itself to you in your life and to people is always like has some magic in it. And just as simply as when I've had like family members decide like they were gonna go to an ayahuasca retreat, and then all of a sudden like plants are like almost grabbing them, like touching them, and they're like, where's this plant coming from? Like I was just walking by and it felt like this branch reached out. For you, what made you decide that plant medicine was the journey for you, and did you have any of those types of magical moments?
Oh man, there's so many, but the biggest thing that stands out for me, well, let me rewind. When the medicine shows up in an individual's life, it happens in a way that I like to describe as when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so when the medicine found me, it was during a time that I was going through a really rough patch in my life. In a lot of ways, it was my rock bottom. And I laugh about it now, like it was tough in the moment, but looking back, I'm just like, girl, like you, girl. But we'll get to that. So I was going through a really bad breakup with my ex-fiance. My son was leaving for the military, and so my identity felt like it was being like ripped away from me. Like, who am I if I'm not someone's mom, even though I'm always going to be his mother, but my child was leaving to the military. And who am I if I'm not someone's fiance or partner? But now, like reflecting back on that, like, who am I not? Like, I'm all the things. I'm so much more than the story that I had for myself. The medicine literally found me. I attended my first medicine ceremony. It was absolutely life-changing. I know I had been suppressing a lot of feelings, emotions, and during that ceremony, like everything came to the surface. It was like I was feeling for the first time. And that's just such a beautiful feeling. It's such a beautiful experience. Like it's just something I want everyone to be able to experience. And so that is kind of what brought me to what I'm doing now is having that experience, sitting with the medicine by myself multiple times, and just realizing that the medicine is nothing like what we were brought up thinking it was. So growing up, they would, the DARE program. And
girl, I was second place in my DARE essay, so.
I wrote a DARE essay too. and the commercial where they crack the egg and like, this is your brain on drugs, and just all the things that just made us so scared of
anything like that. Yeah.
But then having that experience and realizing like, this is nothing like what they wanted us to think. And so I was like, I have to, like, it is my duty to make more people aware of this, and especially amongst the Black community. As a woman of color, I've also like made it my mission to make more people of color aware that no, like, this medicine isn't what they made us think it was, and I feel like people of color need the healing the most. And so I'm really just here to spread the word and show people the way. Like, this medicine is super healing, and I think we all should try it. And so that's pretty much how I've gotten to where I am now. I absolutely agree with everything you're saying, and I know that these are things that are your part of your intentions and your purpose. But for some reason right now while you're saying it, like, I'm just getting chills. I don't know, it just feels like even more amplified in you. I guess maybe because the first time I heard you say that was so long ago, and you've done so much work since then that it feels like even more powerful within you, like that this is what you're doing and want to continue doing even more so. Have you had any moments, whether you were in ceremony with the plant medicine or because of it, outside of it, where it felt almost to people who maybe aren't in a spiritual place like a coincidence, like just an unbelievable moment of magic because of the sacred plant medicine? So a ceremony that stands out to me specifically is a solo ceremony that I did, and solo ceremonies are probably my favorite. I don't advise everyone to do it unless you're an experienced, if you have experience with the medicine, but having the experience that I have, I do them often. And so like I said, solo journeys are my favorite, but during this particular one, I was doing some mirror work, and I literally sat in the mirror for hours, just looking at myself. I became like my younger me, and I had a conversation with her and just, told her all the things that I wish someone would have told me when I was younger. Unfortunately, my parents got a divorce when I was really young, and so I just really didn't have a lot of the support that I feel a young child needed. And so I was just able to talk to her and just give her love and just let her know that I see her and I feel for her. And I really saw myself too in a completely different light, like in a way that I've never seen myself. And that just gave me so much like inner strength and confidence and just love in a way that I don't think any amount of talk therapy, any amount of antidepressants, anything like that, like that healing that I did with myself in that moment is the magic, is just the magic in itself happening.
I was going to say, how do you feel like that showed up then in your everyday life, to, like you were saying, that strength and giving yourself that love to yourself at that young age, how it translated then into your everyday life? How do you feel like you showed up differently?
Me being here doing this podcast right now, like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if you would have asked me to speak on a podcast, I would say absolutely not. There's no way. I had the biggest fear of public speaking. I remember a moment in college where I had to get up to give a presentation. I was so nervous that I literally like blacked out. Like I couldn't read what was on my paper. I mean, I just was like, I don't know. But now the confidence that I have in me is just like I said, like, what can't I do?
Right.
And my favorite thing now is forcing myself out of my comfort zone and doing the things that scare me the most. And each and every time, on the other side of that fear is some sort of magic waiting for me. And so, yeah, that's just, that's the medicine working its magic within me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've talked about this before where we've talked with people who are like, oh, I'm scared to try sacred plant medicine, whether it's psilocybin, ayahuasca, whatever it might be. And they're like, oh, I'm scared. And of course we always say, like, it's your decision to decide when. No one can tell you, right? But if you are wanting to do it and it is just that fear keeping you back, like if you can move through that, what incredible things are on the other side of it. Yes. And just like you saying that right now, it gave me chills because I have known you for a few years, and there are so many moments where like I see you like just like changing in front of me, and like I'm like, whoa, Brandy said she was like nervous about doing that a year ago, and then look at her right now, she's like, I'm doing it, I got it, no problem. And it's so cool because I think everyone can benefit from that. And like I've had those same experiences where I'm like, oh, if I'm afraid of it, I better do it. Right? Like that's my thing, is if something scares me, and then I better examine it, and I probably have to do it, right? Yes. And the fear is just this block that like just needs to be moved through. Yeah. So I feel like I can relate to that. So many people can relate to that, and you know, be able to move through that, to have those magical moments, not just in the ceremony, but after the ceremony, how it helps you in your life for months, years, from a ceremony you did one time, or if you've done multiple ceremonies. Yeah. Have you had, because the podcast, we like to highlight our high moments, have you had any moments that were, and also because healing can be so uncomfortable, it can be so heavy, you know, of course that's part of it, but I want us to also be able to feel motivated by these like moments of like, there's also a lightheartedness to it, and fun moments. Like, have you had any of those types of moments that you can look back and say, you know what, actually that was like a really fun time, or my perspective of it changed, and I do think it's like high now? Yeah.
I think one of the first group ceremonies that I facilitated, there was a couple in there who so this was maybe 3 years ago, and so I've become really good friends with them, and so I still am in communication with them, and just to see their transformation, like similarly to how you were saying, like you've watched me, but to literally see people's lives completely transform, like right in front of your eyes, is just like, that's all the validation you need to just know that you're walking in your purpose, and you're doing what you need to be doing. And so with this couple, like they've completely come out of their shells. They're tapping into their creativity, and they're closer as a couple now as well. So those are like the moments that just really stand out to me and just
make you want to keep going. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's what keeps us going, is these moments of validation, because we're like getting communications from the universe of like, keep going. And then because we're talking about plant medicine, like it is its own, we can communicate with it, right? In ceremony, outside of ceremony. Have you ever felt like when you're having those conversations, like have you gotten any certain insights that you really stick out in your mind from psilocybin or any of the plant medicines that you've experienced?
Man.
And I know we say sometimes it's hard to like pinpoint, like put language to it.
It's so hard. Yeah, it's so hard. And I think one of my most recent experiences, I sat with Bufo, and that has probably been like my most eye-opening, just out of this world. And that experience just let me know, like, nothing is what it seems. Like, they're like the veil, we speak about a lot, like you're literally able to see behind it, and it just gives you like this different perspective on life, and there's nothing else that really gives you that,
right? Like the truth
of plants and you know, these substances. So yeah, I would say that experience was one of the most, and it's so interesting because that experience is so short, but so profound and impactful. Like it's like a 15-minute experience, but it is out of this world.
Yeah, and you're still carrying that, and probably will for so long.
Yeah, like I'll never ever forget that moment, and I'm so grateful that I was able to experience it, and just all the experiences that I've had. And it's so interesting too, because once you start working with these medicines, like all these opportunities start to open up, to where you're able to experience different medicines and you meet different people. And so yeah, that's probably the moment that sticks out to me.
Yeah, that's a perfect one, because I feel like then when we talk to people or we're doing different things, we can kind of just cut to the heart of things and really like make a deeper connection with those moments, with those people. Yeah, and like you said, like opening up, I feel when we're looking for these types of like communications from the universe or these plant medicines, then we're open to them. So then we become more open to other things and experiences, and it just starts to show us, like you said, just like differences in reality, what we're capable of.
Right.
Have you had any other moments in ceremony or just in your healing journey with plant medicine or integration that you can see it's affected your family dynamic or healed your family?
Yeah, so the most profound thing that I've discovered with working with plant medicine as far as my family dynamic goes is it's shifted like generational traumas, and it's super beautiful because me deciding to do this work has in a way ensured that my son is not gonna have the same experiences that I've had, and my great grandkids and my grandkids, my great grand, like it stopped with me. And so that's super amazing, to just, you know, realize that I was able to do that. And I think, you know, it takes a lot of bravery and courage to step into this work, but I just know that my ancestors are just so proud, and that is something that keeps me going as well. And then also too, like the realization that I am not my past. Like it is parts of me, but it doesn't it doesn't limit me to that. And just because my parents got a divorce doesn't mean that if I get married I'm gonna get a divorce. And you know, it's just, I'm not my past, and I'm not, you know, what my family life was, and just,
you can take the positives. And,
absolutely. And you know, I appreciate everything that I've been through. You know, all of my struggles have made me into the woman that I am, so I'm grateful for all of it. But yeah, I just think the generational trauma ending with me and is the biggest part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like it's even, because I know when you talk about, like, I know my child and my grandchildren, they're not going to be affected. Have you even noticed with your parents, like, changes in them, even though they're not doing that type of work, but because you're doing the work, how it's affecting them?
Yeah, so I think my parents see how much happier I am, and my dad doesn't fully know the work that I'm doing, like the full extent of it. My mom does, and she's really happy and proud, and she wishes that she could, you know, partake in the medicine, but she has some health issues that is limiting her from doing so. But I think too, even though my dad isn't fully aware of the healing I'm doing, he said something to me not too long ago that really shifted something in me. So I had my son when I was really young. I was graduating high school. I was 18 and pregnant. And so, of course, my dad was really sad and angry and just disappointed, all the things. And so he said some hurtful things to me, and I've really held on to those all my life. And so as I started to do this work and shifting, you know, my perspective on myself, my dad and I were having a conversation, and he just one day out of the blue was just like, I just want to let you know I'm so proud of you, and, you know, just proud of who you've become, and you work so hard, and just all the things, like just giving me my flowers. And I did not realize that I needed to hear that from him. And like, it really shifted something in me. So like, we got off the phone after he said that, and I just like bawled, crying, like, what? I didn't know I needed to hear that, but it's exactly what I needed to hear. And I think that happened because of the healing work that I'm doing. And,
absolutely.
And I think the universe was just like, she's ready to hear this.
Yeah, because it is that sometimes, because it's a relationship, right? So even though they said those things, like, we're a part of that shared energetic moment. And when you shifted now, like, you're ready to receive something different. And he was, in him, ready to be different. And you both like met that moment outside of your, you know, like, conscious selves. And we're like, it's time, you know.
It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And that moment shifted something in me for sure.
Oh my God, that's so lovely. Thank you for telling us that. I wanted to ask you, like, that, like, I wonder if that kind of is maybe the answer to this, but like, is there a time in your times of sacred plant medicine or your integration where like it absolutely has changed your life, where you're like, that time, like, that I did that certain thing is just like life changing? Does it feel like?
I mean, my very, very first ceremony, like, to feel feelings again after not feeling them for so long, because I think I was just so disconnected from my body, just my mind, because of the traumas I had been through. So that moment,
just everything.
Is the reason I'm sitting here having this conversation with you right now. It literally was that moment.
I say the same thing. Like, I attribute who I am. I mean, obviously, like, our friends and partners all have a piece in who we are, but the majority of the percentage of who has like helped me unlearn, you know, the things that we've been taught and make me who I am is like my parents, and then my very first person that facilitated my ceremonies and has facilitated the most of my ceremonies. Like, they are who I am, just like, you're all three my parents.
Like, you never forget those moments. Like, they just stick with you forever.
Life changing. My kind of last question is, what is the wildest time that you've had in a ceremony or something? Because I don't know, with plant medicine, there's just can be these psychedelic moments, visuals, things that are just can be considered extreme that can be pretty wild. Have you had any?
Absolutely. And, you know, you could go into these experiences like expecting something, but you never know what is going to come up. Like it, and you could do the same medicine 100 times and it's going to be different each and every time. So the wildest story is I did a solo ceremony with mushrooms, and the type was penis envy.
Right.
Penis envy, just for anyone who's like, did she say what I think she said? Yes. So I don't know if it was just the thought of the name of the
energy frequency,
something, but that was probably one of my most difficult experiences. It was very dark, it was very heavy, it was very masculine. And there was a moment where I just had to get up and go into the restroom, and I'm just sitting on the toilet, and I kid you not, I was taken over by different colors, different sizes of penises, like literally just slapping me. Like, I'm sitting on the toilet and I'm just like, there's help me, just penises everywhere. Like, what is happening? So after what felt like hours of being just destroyed by penises, I was able to gather myself and leave the bathroom. And then still, you know, I struggled. Like, that whole entire experience was not for me. And so, you know, by the end of it, I was like, I'm never sitting with that strain ever again. And it's so bizarre too, because when I went to get the canister that they were in, whatever was left in that canister of the penis envy mushrooms were completely disintegrated. Like, it was just like,
you're done.
You're done. Like, even if you didn't decide, like, make that decision on your own, we're gonna make it for you. Yeah. And so I had to throw them away.
Oh my God, that is so hilarious.
And just never again.
I actually know someone that's like their favorite strain to sit with.
To each their own.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. It's all for what it is in the moment, what's needed to be. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that was
favorite.
A pretty good one.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Wild story.
I want to ask questions about it, but I won't, because it will take us into like some other ratings for what we're talking about. But that is my favorite.
Yeah.
Last question. I don't know how we go from that to like serious stuff. If somebody wanted to, you know, do plant medicine for the first time and know, like, they're feeling called to it, how do they know, like, it's right for them? Because I feel like that's a lot of the things I hear people say, like, I'm interested in it and I'm reading about it or I'm talking to people about it, but like, how do I know it's right for me?
I feel like just having that thought alone, like, I may be interested, because not everyone is gonna feel that. Some people will go their entire life having never heard of psilocybin, you know, ayahuasca, any of that. I feel like it comes into your awareness when you're ready. As you know, I spoke about in the beginning, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So yeah, like, if you feel called to it, find yourself a facilitator, a trusted facilitator. Make sure that, you know, they ask you questions, and I as a facilitator, you know, with each person that is interested, I go through, you know, I ask them questions about any medications that they're on, their mental health history. Like, all of those things are very important, because there are some contraindications with the medicine. So if someone is feeling called to it, I think, like I said, find a facilitator, make sure that it's a trusted person, and go from there.
Yeah.
Like, it's we tend to overcomplicate things a lot of times, but it really is just that simple. Like, you feel the call, you find the right person, and you go from there.
Just kind of going off of that, and something we had touched on earlier, before we started, when you're looking for this facilitator, you know, these days there are like larger corporations, I guess we could say, that are offering these types of services for people. What are your thoughts on that? Like, on those kind of bigger...
Man, yeah, I think it's unfortunate that the larger corporations are wanting to get involved, and I feel like their integrity, you know, really isn't there. And so I think a lot of the bigger corporations that are wanting to get into this space, it's strictly for the money, and not so much wanting to truly help people heal.
Right.
So, you know, that's why I say, you know, do your homework. If you're able to read reviews or speak to people who have attended ceremonies, really just do your due diligence, because you will find cracks in you know, if someone is a facilitator that isn't working in integrity, like, you'll find out. I hope you will, because, you know, working in this space, I have been around and heard of people who are, you know, taking advantage of people, and it's really unfortunate. So yeah, like I said, just do your homework. And I am strictly referral based. I don't have a website. I don't have an Instagram. So anyone that is brought to me, it's because they were referred to me. So I think doing it that way.
Yeah, they've gotten like a testimony from someone who's like, this person is safe. You feel good with them. They're protecting you. And yeah, I agree. Like, you have to, I feel like that's the best way. And it's not the only way, you know, the universe finds ways to bring you to where you're supposed to be, but I feel like that's often the best way, is when you can have like a personal referral of like someone you've sat with it is impeccable and has integrity. And
and then another thing too is with these big corporations and the people who are facilitating, like, a lot of them haven't even ever had an experience themselves.
Ooh.
And so I am just like, how can you even like find it in your heart to hold space for someone if you haven't experienced it yourself? And so that is happening a lot.
Goodness, I've never even thought of that. Like, I would just assume if you're in it, you've had the experience.
With, you know, the decriminalization that's happened in, you know, Oregon, and they're opening all these clinics and they have all these therapists that are offering the medicine, and so they have a license, they're a licensed therapist, but
that's all. Wow.
So,
oh my gosh, that's so interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So those are some things that I hope people kind of look out for
and consider. Yeah, good. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today, and just sharing your knowledge and wisdom of this and your stories. Like, I just appreciate you so much for sharing, but also what you're doing, because I know it's making a difference for so many people. I've experienced it myself, where you've held space for me and helped me move through some heavy times, and then also like other people that I've gotten to watch you know, also move through that. It's just so special, because what you're doing, like you said in the beginning, like, you want to help this grow and touch more people's lives, and you're doing it. So thank you for being on that journey.
Yes, I love it. I love it. It's so fulfilling. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we always end our podcast asking the void a question. Do you want to ask the void a question, or I have one if not?
If you could, go ahead.
Are you sure? You can just ask anything though if you want. No? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask the void a question. Void, where are you right now?
Manifested as a penis.
Okay, thank you so much, Void. I usually have follow-up questions. I don't have any today. I'm just like,
you're like, that's my cue.
I'm done. As always, we appreciate your I don't want to say wisdom, knowledge, answers. Void, thank you so much. But again, thank you so much, Brandy, for being here. And we will put Brandy's email in the description, so that if you're feeling called to connect with Brandy, you can do so in that way. Thank you so much for joining us, healer. I'm Lara Argijo. This is Brandy Gibson. Thank you again for being here. I wish you joy and serendipity on your healing journey, and I hope our paths cross again. Thank you so much.
Yay.